Hello and welcome. Silrace here with Star Citizen. And while this sale is still going on, I want to talk a bit about what gets me to buy a spaceship in Star Citizen. To put real money down to buy digital goods in a video game which is not yet out, which is actually not close to being out yet either. This is not the open beta test after all, right before the release of the game. The game is still quite far away from actual release. And I also obviously want to hear what gets you to put down your money in support of this game. What gets you to buy ships? Because the reality of it is, this is not a released product. It is still in development. It is not like a game you buy which has been already developed and the publishers and these folks present the game to you as, okay, this is the final product, give us your money and you can have it. This is not the case here. If something horrible happens behind the scenes or whatnot, suddenly this game might never actually come out and our money might be lost. We don't know that yet because it is a possibility. Sure, it is a very minor possibility, but it is out there, as always. Anyway, so let's talk about buying ships. And I have decided to put in a couple ships in my hangar. I'm gonna walk around in my hangar and talk about those ships specifically. Why I bought those ships and what gets me to buy a ship. Alright, so we are in the hangar with the three very different ships which I have bought over time and stuff. There is the Gladius, there is the M50 Interceptor, and there is Aurora LX. Now I will go over some generic reasons of what gets me to buy ships, but also what got me to buy these particular ships specifically. Let us talk with Gladius first. Because having a conversation with a Gladius always seems like a good idea, especially standing in front of that big gun and the nose-mounted gun if you would have it. Looking at the front profile of the Gladius, it really looks like it could be a jet fighter of today. It could be this era jet plane, right? I mean, it is a sleek, modern-looking ship. It doesn't necessarily look like a spaceship, and that is part reason what attracted me to it. It looks very sleek, it looks very maneuverable, but it still sports the weaponry to truly look like it could be a big, massive threat. I mean, come on. We have missiles, we have nose-mounted cannon, and this nose-mounted cannon, like, if I look at the ship from this profile here, I could imagine there to be a rotor blade above it, that this is an attack helicopter front instead of being a jet plane front, jet fighter front. I could absolutely imagine it that way. An attack helicopter? Yeah, that seems kind of possible as well. In all honesty, the main reason I bought Gladius is simply because of the looks. I really like the sleek look of this thing. And the fact that it looks almost like a jet plane of today while still being a spaceship. It looks like something which is capable of actually making its way through an atmosphere, land on a planet and get off, or do fighting within the atmosphere instead of just being stuck to the space all the time. The cockpit from a distance looks like it could house two people, like most of the, jet planes and assault helicopters of today, but it really is one person cockpit, but it still looks the part. And also, the cockpit is really open. Once you get into that cockpit, you realize that there is like nothing obscuring your view, your vision. You can really see well out of the cockpit, and that is always very nice. I like that. And overall, it is Gladius. It is named after a blade, so it has to look the part, right? There are really simple reasons for me to buy the Gladius, it's simply how it looks. And frankly, that is all I personally believe we have going for us at this moment. Game is still in development. Game is still being changed all the time. Flight models change and all these things. Some weaponry gets changed. We really don't know yet how a ship like Gladius is going to perform once the persistent universe comes. And this is another thing of mine, is I am not buying any ship for what we have currently. There is very little actual content in the game currently, in all honesty. There is basically one dual swarm where you can fly, there is some free flights, there is some racing you can do. But that's it. And once the main game gets out, what is the best ship currently in what we currently have might very well be completely useless in the main game. And I'm not buying stuff for this moment, I am buying them for the idea that, okay, this is something I actually like the look of, and I might really want to fly this once the persistent universe, once the main game gets out. And I completely and utterly see myself flying Gladius, simply because of how it looks. It doesn't matter to me if it is worse than another fighter ship, but it looks the part that I would like to be in the cockpit. I would like to fly this thing around. Now let's talk about another very streamlined, very sleek ship. The M50 Interceptor, which happened to be one of my very early purchases. Because, oh my gosh, look at that. If you are looking for a sleek, like a streamlined jet fighter, this is the damn thing, right? This is the damn thing. It's like taking a Formula ship, applying it to the space, and like, okay, this is what we have now. And it is racer. It is a racing ship. It's essentially purely racing ship. Like, sure, you can mount a couple guns on it. As you can see, I have a couple guns mounted on it. But in all honesty, it is just pure racing ship designed to go fast and be maneuverable. And anybody who knows me knows that I hate slow sluggish things. I like nimble maneuverable things. I really like those. That's my preferred playstyle when it comes to stuff. Mobility. I am willing to sacrifice in many other categories to get mobility. And so something like M50 Interceptor, combined with its very sleek looks, was basically a no-brainer purchase for me. It's like, okay, it's a racing ship. It can go really fast. It can be very maneuverable. I am gonna buy that. If nothing else, I'm gonna fly circles around some space station with it just to have a look at it and just for my own amusement. Even if I'm not taking any races, I very well likely will do some racing. Even though I am not a fan of racing games when it comes to like actual, car racing, I'm not a fan of those. But I can see myself definitely doing racing in space because of the elevation differences, because of having Z-axis added to the whole damn thing. That makes it so much more enjoyable, so much more interesting. So, racing ship, with basically same reasoning as Gladius, the looks. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not buying ships just because they are good in Vandal Swarm or whatever. I am buying them because they are something I will definitely want to fly once the main game comes out. And I see myself flying M50 Interceptor time to time, even if not racing, just because it looks so awesome. And to me it looks so awesome. And let's also talk about something very different looking. The Aurora LX. Right? I mean, if we take a look at this ship from the front, where is that sleek thing? It's like, this is not a very sleek looking ship, is it? It is just like the cockpit is not rounded, it is essentially a box. The whole damn ship is essentially full of boxes, right? It is not a very sleek ship. So I didn't buy it for that reason. But I still bought it mostly for the looks. Because this looks like something which cannot ever land on a planet. It's like, if you look at the shape and size of it, imagine it landing on Earth and trying to get out of the atmosphere while looking like this. I just don't see it happening. Maybe it can be explained to me, maybe it cannot, it doesn't matter. We are talking about a video game after all, everything is possible, but it still doesn't look the part to me, and it looks very crazy. It looks like a space vessel, it doesn't look like a jet fighter of today. This actually looks like some kind of a weird space vessel which you're essentially designed to be piloted in space, where you don't have to really take into account all the atmospheric maneuvering things or the all sorts of things like that. You don't have to take into account. You just plug it together, make it sure it flies, and make it look the part that it's not necessarily beautiful, sleek, or anything of the sort, but it's functional. And that is the reason why I bought this ship. It looks very, very different from everything else. And I'm like, okay, I must have that thing, because I really like the look of that, because it looks so very weird. Alright? And also, there is the thing that the Auroras are the only ships currently which have beds. This is the date ride, right? It has a bed and everything. It has a big, massive cockpit which you can, well, pick your date up and go for a little bit of a spin into space, have a look-see, because both of you can look out of this massive cockpit at the same time, and then you have the bed at the back for, you know, later on. Anyway, that's the main attraction of the Aurora for me. It's really the looks, because it looks like, look at from this perspective, those two ships in the back, two very sleek looking ships, very much a fighter jet plane looking ships, and then you have this thing, which is like random shapes and whatnot. I really like the look of Aurora. It is a ship I plan to fly a lot, simply because it looks so weird and so on. Even though it might not be the best possible ship for a long time once the game releases, but overall I plan to do things with it. Like I mentioned, all the dates. Anyway, I think this is very much me done talking about this stuff. So the main reason I am buying ships is their looks. I'll be outright honest and say that. I am buying ships mostly for their looks, but also over their function, what they are dedicated to doing. As you can see, I have three very different setups here. I have a racer, which is designed to go fast and be mobile. I have an assault craft, which is supposed to do dogfighting and stuff. And I have a ship which is supposed to do something. Like, really. This is not an assault craft, this is just a ship, essentially. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this was interesting to somebody, and please let me know what gets you to put down your money on an unfinished product, on a game where you are hoping that the money you put down, it will pay off in the end for your pleasure, for your enjoyment. Thank you very much for watching.